So it's just now 5 o'clock. I've got a few more people who are planning to join. So I just want to give just a few more moments to see if they make it in. Just allowing yourself this time to settle into whatever space you chose for this workshop, this webinar. Just finding some peace, maybe coming to your breath. And I'll just give them, let's see, maybe 2 more minutes. So I can always allow people to join after I get started. I'm going to go ahead and get started just for timing wise. And if someone else joins, some others start joining, I'll just take a little pause and allow them into the space. So, again, before we even jump in, I'm going to invite you to just take a moment here and do a body scan, just noticing your physical body, noticing your mental body, maybe your energy, your emotions, and just doing a little check-in and seeing where you feel you are right now. Are you holding tension? Is your mind clear or is it cluttered and chaotic? Does your energy feel stuck or high, or does it kind of feel leveled off, um, or low even? Um, and then the emotional body. So just checking in and noticing what you're feeling there. And we want to do this from a place of witness and not judgment. So we're just noticing. And then I'm going to invite you to come in to your breath. I want you to think about slowing your breath down to a slow, steady inhale that expands your body. So you'll feel the ribs expanding and your belly getting big on your inhale. And then controlled, slow exhale. And maybe seeing if your exhale can be just a little longer than your inhale. Slow, steady inhale, expansive, and a complete exhale. Beautiful. Maybe just doing just a couple more of those. That slow, expansive inhale and complete exhale. I'm going to introduce myself here before I get into the content of things. So I'm Christy Mayu. I have been guiding people through deep transformations for well over a decade, helping them reconnect to their bodies, to their nervous system, and to their inner wisdom. Now, my journey started way long before that. I would have to say it was the early 1990s. I was transitioning out of teenager into adulthood and motherhood, and carrying a whole lot of stuff with me. I began initially just studying the healing arts for myself. I needed to recover from my childhood, from sexual assaults, sexual abuse, neglect, um, and then into my adulthood. I was raped. I battled with anorexia. I have multiple autoimmune issues. And then I had challenges with substance abuse, with alcohol. Um, I was numbing, I was disassociating, and um, and so it was a time of trying to find healing just for myself. I wanted to create a different world for my daughter. So I know what it feels like to feel stuck, to feel unsafe, to feel disconnected from your own body. And I also know what it feels like to reclaim your power, to feel grounded, and to experience real embodied healing. And so that's why I'm here with you today. I've created a course. I have these webinars that I'm doing, and it is designed to meet you wherever you are. So I'm here to guide you in understanding your body and your nervous system. I'm going to teach you a few restorative practices and offer some tools that you'll be able to carry with you throughout after this session is over. So you are going to learn some regulating practices. Um, and most importantly, the message that I want to bring forward is that healing is possible. You are not broken, and you do not have to do this alone. So I'm honored to be your guide on this journey for this time, and I just can't wait to show you what's possible when you give yourself time, care, and tools to heal. Take a little sip of my tea. So what we are doing here together is creating a safe container, a safe space where we can fully show up. And again, safety is that important piece here. And so whatever opens up here in this session, I want you to know that it will stay here in this session, that not myself or anyone else who's watching or participating will take your story and your shares and spread them into the world. So what happens and is discussed here is staying here. I invite you that if you feel called to share, whether that's in the comments, the discussions, or the chat, however that may be, or if you want to chat like one-on-one, then what I ask from you is that you bring your story, what's happening in your world, and not telling someone else's story. And we want to do that from a place of um, truthfulness and in our truth. So, just going to dive right on in to what is trauma. And often we're usually confused here. We it is a misbelief that trauma is what happens, the event that occurs. And that's not exactly what trauma is. That's a traumatic event. What trauma is how our body is responding to a situation, outside sources. It is how our body is reacting or responding. That is what trauma is. And so that's why there are lots of trauma, and you'll hear like the big T and the little t. There's big trauma, there's little trauma. Um, but our body does not know that difference between big trauma and little trauma. It just knows that it no longer feels safe and that its job is to keep you safe. Your nervous system's job, its only job, is survival. And so when your nervous system gets activated through an event, through a traumatic experience, that is when your body is experiencing trauma and the nervous system is activated. So what is an activated nervous system? You've heard of some of these words, fight or flight. That's the most common that people know of. Um, but there's a few others. Okay. So when an event happens and your nervous system gets the signal that says, I'm not safe, then the systems that your body does not need in order to keep you safe will shut down. So your body does not need to digest food to keep you safe. So when you are in an activated nervous system, your digestive system will shut down. Now you're still going to eat and you're still probably going to go to the bathroom and all of that stuff, but that may look different. So your bathroom may be constipated or diarrhea based on what your nervous system is doing. So when our body perceives that it is in danger through whatever event is going on, and again, this could be the big T or the little T's, this could be abuse, it could be sexual assaults, this could be like huge events. This could also feel like lack of support when you are needing supported by your community. So that's big T and little t. And there's like all kinds of things in between there. It's car accidents. It's it's anything that startles your body that says, I'm no longer safe. And then your body's nervous system is activated. And these are the 5 stages. You can have fight, you can have flight, you can have freeze, flop, and fawn. And I'm going to go into a little bit of each one of those now. So fight is just what it sounds like. You are ready. You're on guard. Your blood thickens so that if you were to get cut or injured in a fight, then your your body would heal a little quicker. The wound would heal up a little quicker so that you're able to fight longer or you're able to run longer if you're in flight. Okay, so that is what our body does naturally because it's supposed to. Now, if you're in fight, you may see that by behaving in rages, you're fighting, you're angry, aggressive. That's fight. Now, if you're in flight, you're disassociating, you're running. Overthinker, the workaholic. Your body thinks that it needs to flee wherever it's at in order to find safety. So this is a people with addiction personalities are usually in flight because they're disassociating or drinking or doing other substances to numb the feelings that's in our body. And then we have freeze. Freeze is difficulty making decisions. You're stuck, isolation, scared, stiff, shut down. And then there's flop. Flop is where you're paralyzed by fear. You see that there is no possibility of escape. That's the perception, that there is no possibility of escaping. Your body may go limp. You may lose physical control of your body in flop. You may faint. You are paralyzed. This is more than stuck. This is more than frozen. This is more than difficult making decisions. And this is your body shutting down. And then we have fawn, people pleasing, a lack of identity, no boundaries, codependent, overwhelmed, attachment for safety. So you're reaching to acquaintances, that codependency for safety. You're reaching outside of you for someone to provide you safety. You have no control over which one of these responses your body will go into when when your nervous system is activated. It will just happen. When we get into this state of an activated nervous system, our thinking brain shuts off. We don't need to be able to do math. We don't need to be able to have proper grammar in order to survive whatever event is taking place. What our brain does is it shifts into survival. What do I need to do to survive this moment, this event, the situation? What is needed in order to survive? Is that flop? When you're paralyzed by fear, you can't see survival. Is it fight? You're going to guard up. Your muscles are tight. You can't move your neck because your muscles are so tight. You're ready for whatever's coming. You're on guard, you're on attack. Survival brain, got somebody popping in. Let me just add them in real quick. So survival brain doesn't have the thinking possibilities. It can't see the situation that it's in and how to make a plan on how to get out of it because all it knows to do is how to survive. So at one time I was in a relationship that was just very unhealthy, and I was aware that this person, they drank too much and they did not like to see um, things on television that was like angry, or they didn't want to see Black people on television. And so I began just slowly changing what I would put on the TV because I needed to keep things safe, keep him calm and not angry. And so I began shifting what I was doing for him to not react. Because if he reacted, then I'm now in like freeze or fight, all of them at once sometimes. So when our nervous system is activated, again, our body shuts down everything that's not needed in order to survive what it perceives as that danger. Now I'm going to throw in a big thing here. Our body, our nervous system does not know the difference in the event taking place in real time, and we retell the story. So if we continue going in and retelling the story from an unhealed place, right? We're still stuck, we're still in this, then our nervous system believes in this moment that we're in that event again. So back in 2018, I ended that terrible relationship. And at the end of that year, 6 months had gone by where he was calling and texting and threatening, and if you're not with me, you're not going to be with anybody, and I'm coming after you. And one night I came home late, and he had been there at my home. He had cut my gas lines. He cut the electricity to my well water. He shot my AC compressor. Had I been there, this might have been a whole different situation. Because obviously he was in fight. He came ready to fight. And fortunately I was not there at that time. But that froze me. Even though I wasn't there for the experience, I came home to that. My home was no longer safe. I was froze. I was froze for some time. I went through the order of protection ordeal. Eventually, that was awarded to me, and eventually we showed up for court. I went to an attorney asking for help, and they're like, "No, we know this guy. He's crazy. Hey, there's no attorney in this state will help you. You need to sell and you need to leave." That was the advice that this attorney gave me. But I had two grown children and grandchildren, and I needed to remind myself that I could fight back. So I was struck in freeze. I was being guided to fight, to run, but I chose to fight back. And I held my ground. Um, I eventually sold that house and closed that chapter and created a new home with that safety. And sometimes that's what we have to do. When that first happened, every time I retold that story, my body went back into fight or flight. I would feel my body feeling unsafe. My posture would change. I would close up, shut down, because I was back into survival mode. just from retelling my story. There's a beautiful doctor, and I am not able to pronounce his name, but he wrote a book that I can pronounce. Your body keeps the score. It's a huge book, and it is a deep book. And I have read it multiple times, and every time I read it, I learn something new. That is what we have learned through this doctor, through his decades of working with people with trauma. He started out working with Vietnam vets, and then he worked with he stayed in the VA system for a while. So then he transitioned more into, I guess, like the Iraqi veterans after a while. And then he began to see the correlation between what the veterans were experiencing, the PTSD, and sexual abuse. And then he began to tie all of this trauma together because it doesn't matter what the trauma is, what the event is, if it's war, if it's rape, if it's abuse, or if it's the lack of support when you're needing support. Our body just understands that it no longer feels safe, and the nervous system shifts into survival mode, and then we go into one of these five states of coping: fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop. Now, how do we get that out of our body? It's through movement. It's through movement. It's through dancing, shaking, yoga, walking. It's the movement. The issues are in the tissues. Issues are in the tissues. It's our fascia system that has the issues. And so that is why sometimes you feel the pain here, and sometimes we feel the pain here. Sometimes it's in our hip because our fascia system is all connected, and it's not a muscular issue. It's an issue. It's the trauma in the tissues. The issue is in the tissues. And so it is through the movement that we break the fascia up, and little emotions may come out. Now, the other beautiful part here is when the emotions start coming out. I've got a new beautiful statistic for you to know about. When we begin to feel an emotion only lasts for 90 seconds. We keep that feeling sense alive longer by retelling the story. So I got another little fun story about that. A few years ago, my mother passed away, and I was just not doing well with it. Um, it was about a month after her passing, my I went on a hike with my friends and my boyfriend, and um, the group, we got separated. There's a fast group and a slow group, and I'm in between, and I'm all by myself, and I don't have the map downloaded, and I'm looking at, I've never been on this trail. And then suddenly I'm like, well, of course my boyfriend would run off and leave me. My mother wasn't able to show me love. Why would he be able to show me love? I was abandoned by her. He's abandoned me too. And here I am, full-blown panic attack because one little emotion arose. And I'm like, oh, well, that must be my mom didn't love me. And then it just story. I'm like, but it's just the crazy monkey mind. story of things. Well, I immediately knew what had happened. I'm like, whoa, I'm in a panic attack. I've caused this. So I regulated. I'm like, okay, take a breath. What can you see? What can you smell? What do you feel? And that brought me back to the present. I was no longer in the past. I was no longer in some weird anxiety future thing. I was back in that moment. What can I hear? I hear the leaves breaking as I take my step. I hear this, I smell the earth coming up from taking those steps and breaking the ground. I hear the rustling of the leaves with the wind blowing. Right now I'm in the city, so I hear the courthouse music playing. I hear the wind chimes out here. I hear the car going by. So it doesn't matter what we hear or what we smell or what we sense or feel. It's just bringing us back to the present. It's taking us out of the monkey mind, out of the story loop, and bringing us back to the present. Now, that doesn't mean that we've shifted yet. We may not be regulated, but we're back in the present now. And then to regulate, it may be that breath where we just take a few slow, deep inhales and exhales. It could be a little tapping that just says, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. It doesn't happen quickly either. When we're beginning shift, it's small baby steps coming out of it. It takes a moment. It takes a moment to come back into our body. It takes a moment to remind our body that it's safe now. And so, what I invite you to do when you're doing that is to notice those small shifts. Notice how you may have took that deep breath when you noticed you were holding your breath. Notice the small wins. The small shifts that happen. Notice when you feel yourself getting activated. I invite you to make a list of things that when you notice that activates or triggers you, and it's not to avoid them. We don't get to avoid what triggers us. That's not healed. That's avoidance. But for a time period, maybe we do have to step away. So I took a few years that I was not around people who drank after that 2018. I took a few years to regulate so that when I was around someone drinking, it didn't activate me. Or if it did, I was aware. I noticed my body shifting. And then I was like, hey, you know what? This is safe. This is safe. This is not that. I'm not there anymore. I'm here. I'm safe. But on top of making a list of those triggers, I also invite you to make a list of glimmers. Glimmers is the things that make us happy, that bring us joy, lights our fire. So the triggers is what may activate that nervous system, and the glimmers is what may settle and regulate. I'm a nature girl. Being out in the world in nature, in the forest, the woods, a park, anything like that, it settles my nervous system. I'm regulating. Going to Walmart takes me out of regulation. And it's multiple things. It's nervousness. Who will I run into? There's a lot of people there. Um, Bright lights. It's harsh. I don't avoid Walmart, but I don't go often either. I wait until I got a lot of things I need to get done there, and I go and get them all done at once instead of making a bunch of little trips and like just uh, putting myself in that over and over again, right? I was in or I'm in a how to regulate your nervous system Facebook group. And one of the questions somebody recently asked is there really life after trauma? Will I really get to have joy again? And that answer is yes. So just like your body keeps the score for the trauma, the issues in the tissues, it also remembers joy, happiness, peace, love, kindness. And that is, we bring that back up by remembering our glimmers. What brings us joy? What lights us up? What sets our world on fire? I also have a bunch of grandbabies, and those guys light me up. If I'm feeling down, I may not even really have to go and visit them in person. Just a phone call does it. Just does it. Speaking of phone calls, my son-in-law just arrived and called to tell me I'm going to shoot him a quick text and tell him I'm right there. So another little just recap, because we had a few people to pop in late. And no worries, because I'm learning how to do all of this stuff, and I'm recording this, and I'm going to shoot you all an email with the recording as well, so that you'll be able to go back and see like the whole little thing. Trauma is not the event that occurred. Trauma is how our body responds to events. We have no control over what event will activate our nervous system. Our nervous system decides what's safe and what's not. And then when we are aware of what our nervous system is doing, we are aware of those stages: fight, flight, freeze, flop, fawn. We can say, "Ooh, I'm people pleasing. I'm activated. I need to regulate." We regulate through breathing, through grounding, through telling the body, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm safe. So I'm going to invite you to take a moment. I've thrown a lot of stuff at you. There's a chat. I'm going to invite you to go to the chat and tell me your name, where you're joining from, and if something resonated with you, what that was in the chat. And I'm going to go unlock the door so he can go work on my bathroom. Okay, there's 24 steps. So thank you for the messages in the chat. Some of you've sent some of it privately to me. So thank you for that. Let's do a regulating practice. So Kim sent one to the group. She is from Illinois, and she's checking in to see what she can learn more about the nervous system um, for her healing journey. Thank you, Kim, and welcome. Catching my breath here. Thank you, Miss Donna from Athens, Tennessee. I was just with some friends from Georgia over the weekend, and um, and I'm reminded that when I'm with a little further north here, I have to say no, Athens, Tennessee, because like there's Athens, Georgia, Athens, Alabama. There's like so fun. So I'm like, no, Tennessee. And then one person I just started talking and they said, you from East Tennessee, aren't you? I am. Yeah. So let's do a a regulating practice. We've already done one little breath work, but this one's going to be a little bit more about the movement, okay? Most everyone, I'm a massage therapist. Most everybody I know has got tension in their neck and shoulders. We carry the world here on our shoulders. So, what I want you to do is just slowly rotate the shoulders around. And it may be like big ones and it may be little ones, depending on the tightness in your muscles here. And so, when we're working with moving that type of tension out of our body, we want to think about just these small, um, small openings, the small movements, because it's traumatizing to the body to go like, okay, like we don't want to, like, now I'm going to relax my shoulders. Well, that's not relaxing at all, right? So we just want to be that gentle. We want to listen to what our body's saying as we're doing that. And then like, oh, okay, it wants me to maybe move my head a little with this because that's where that tension may be growing up into, right? And so we just maybe move the head around. Oh, yeah, and just explore what does your neck and that shoulder area asking for? Oh my goodness, that just feels amazing. And then maybe like I like to even like squeeze them shoulder blades together, just kind of softly, like not forcibly, but sometimes I'm a little more forceful, but not when I'm working with this, when we're working with teaching our body that it's safe, we want to be soft. We want to be gentle. And then again, invite you to think about the things that make you feel safe. I just had this conversation this weekend. One of my favorite things is a heated blanket. I have one on my couch and one on my bed. I was just traveling. I took one with me. And when the girls laughed, she saw me getting it out of the car right before we went to bed Friday night. She said, is that an electric blanket? I said, it is. It makes me feel safe. And so I don't always feel safe traveling to um, other people's homes, and I do it a lot. I usually Airbnb. and I don't feel 100% safe. I walk in there and I'm like, I wonder if there's cameras in here. I mean, like it's just the things that go through our minds. But I take my stuff with me. That makes me feel safe. I have a water kettle because I'm a tea drinker. So I take my water kettle. I take my tea. I take my heated blanket so that I can feel safe. And oh wait, until the loud vehicle goes by. Um, a weighted blanket is nice. When I go to bed at night, um, I was molested as a child for years. Um, at night, right? And when you go to bed, when that typically happens if it's in that type of situation. And so for decades, my bed had to have like one end against the wall, and that way no one could get to me from that side. Right now, I only had one side to guard myself from. And this was even into my adult years when I'm in my home all alone with my children. Because our body, we stay in survival mode until we move this out. And so then I also would have to have like a heavy blanket on me so I could feel that sense of being held, that safety. And I'm still like that today. I can't, even if it's hot, I can't sleep with just a sheet. I need to feel that cocooned feeling when I'm sleeping, or my body can easily shift and I'll begin to relive things. Yes. So Kim says, I agree with you on the body keeps the score. I should probably reread it at least the end with the solutions. Yeah. The Body Keeps a Score is a powerful, powerful book. And it can be hard to get through because it talks about the things. It talks about traumas. It talks about different experiences. And so it can be hard to get, and it's big. It's a thick book. And so there's no way you're going to retain it in one reading or three. Like maybe not four. The very science textbook vibes. Yes. Yeah. Like, and there's several books like that in my world that I feel like I'm studying them. I've got the book. I may have it on Audibles too. And so it can read to me and I'm making notes and then I research and dig deeper. And so, yeah, that is definitely one of the books. One of the others, see what I got behind me. It's not over there. Oh, it's over here a little further away. Gabor Mate, um, Gabor, Gabor Mate, fabulous. I just started this one, The Myth of Normal. Got me a little excited, not gonna lie, because in this decade that I've been doing this work with other individuals, because I've been working on myself for 30 years, but working with others, what I've began to um, decipher is that autoimmune diseases are tied to our nervous system and traumatic events. And, so I'm over here like little old country girl in Tennessee. Like, how do I prove this? Like, how do you get this evidence? Like, how do I find this evidence? Like, I know it in my soul because I'm living it. I've lived it. And then I started reading this book. Girl, guys, yeah. He's tying it together. He's put it together. So now there's a new, um, what would you call it? Science, medical field, that is solely based on the understanding of the nervous system and how it's affecting um our bodies. And so like MS is tied to grieving. Um and like I struggle with MS symptoms. The doctors can't diagnose me yet because I don't have brain lesions. But I have these flare-ups that they're like, that is an MS flare-up. It's what it is. Well, reading this book, and he starts talking about all that. One of my first huge MS flare-ups took place when I was in a custodial battle for my daughter when she was 15. That was that was when they first was testing me for, we're going to do an MRI, we're going to do a spinal tap, um, was all during that time. And of course, I didn't know that then, right? And so um, I understand that so much more now that I was grieving because she did wind up going to live with her dad for 2 years during that custody battle. And I was grieving her. I was grieving our relationship and that loss. And my body responded. And so I began exhibiting the symptoms of MS from the nervous system being, activated. Um, and because the nervous system is activated, then it's pumping cortisol and adrenaline into our bodies, but we're not doing anything to move that cortisol and adrenaline out. So it just settles, and that turns into inflammation, and that turns into dis-ease in our body, and that dis-ease turns to disease. Yes, Donna, I believe that trauma can make you sick physically. Absolutely. When the nervous system is activated and we fall into that fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop, then these systems that your body does not need in order to survive shut down. So again, you don't need to digest food. So we stop digesting food, which then means our body is not absorbing the minerals and the nutrients and the vitamins from our foods. It's just a filler at this point because we're not really getting those benefits from the foods. So the foods are not going to help us. And then our body can't metabolize it correctly. And then that's where irritable bowel syndrome comes in, acid reflux, the all of the digestive stuff will come into play because it's shut down. It's not needed to run away from someone or something, so it's shut down. Um, I mentioned earlier how our blood thickens because in fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop, our body says, well, we may get a cut. And if we get cut, we still need to be able to fight. And so the blood will thicken so that it can clot easier and quicker. But then you're not fighting, you're not running for your life, but your blood has now thickened, and we've not done anything to move that out of our body. So now we have no digestive system, our blood is thicker. I wonder what that might cause, right? Maybe some high blood pressure, I would say, may start to come into play at that point. So what else would not be, what other systems do we have in our body? So we got the muscular system. So the muscular system gets tight It gets guarded, it's ready for a fight, but we're not fighting. But the muscles are still there. They're ready. We're on guard. And so now we got tight muscles that even a massage can't break out because you're still there. I have a massage client I see once a month, and this person's muscles are so tight. I can't move an arm or a leg. Like it won't. So tight. So after the session, she said, "Why is my body so tight?" Seems to me that it's saying that it's not safe, that your body, you're in an activated nervous system that could be from having traumatic experiences. She's like, "I've not really had any traumatic experiences." So we typically think of big T's, rape, abuse, assaults. It can be stress, overwhelmed. She said, "I'm stressed every day. I'm a school teacher. It's hard. It's hard. Every day I'm stressed. I never feel my body relaxed. Every day." She said, "Maybe I'm just made this way." I said, "No, you're stressed. So your body is in anxiety. It's on guard. We got to tell it it's safe. We have to convince our body that it's safe." Donna says anemia is also a symptom from our stomach and digestive system or our stress. Yes, it's held in our gut. Absolutely. I used to have to get um, iron injection shots in my hip, and then it would leave behind this big, huge black mark on my hip, and they'd have to alternate hips each month. Um, and then eventually that went, technology got a little bit better, and they went from like the shots to the infusions where you would sit and get the IV for like 4 or 5 hours. Um, so yes, one doctor, so I had an autoimmune to present in 2004. Um, I had a platelet disorder to appear where my body was destroying its platelets. And so um, I went to I was admitted to the hospital, and they did a platelet transfusion, and they checked at me, and my body destroyed half of those platelets within minutes. Within minutes. Another platelet transfusion, gone, gone. So my body was fighting itself. Autoimmune, your body is fighting itself. Fight, flight, freeze. I mean, it's right there in the wording. Autoimmune, your body is fighting itself. So I wound up with a hematologist, a blood specialist, and so I'm anemic, I'm B12 deficient, and I have no platelets in my body. Like, I am literally just dying sitting here. So he's like, let's see if you're even absorbing the iron. I'm taking an iron supplement. So one day we did a blood test and tested my iron, and I took an iron supplement. And I get 30 minutes, we tested it. I took another iron supplement. An hour we tested, I took another iron. 4 hours later, I had no iron in my body. I had like 6 supplements that I had taken, but because my digestive system was shut down, it could not absorb from the supplements. So this is the importance of shifting our bodies out of fight or flight, freeze, fawn, flop, so that our body can regulate. Our digestive system can come back on. I was once diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. I don't have it. I had an activated nervous system, so my body couldn't digest the food properly, and I had irritable bowels. from that. But once I regulated, once I moved, I started this healing journey and began to live this lifestyle. I don't have that experience anymore. It's been years. I don't have irritable bowel syndrome. It's your digestive system shut down. So I want to just make a little spiel here about a course that I've created. I have created a course. It's a 12 module course on how we can move. It's understanding your nervous system and how your body, your behavior, your brain all responds to trauma. And through that course, there's regulating practices, there's journal prompts and all these beautiful exercises. And again, it's a 12 module course, but if you sign up for it, you get it for a full year. So you can do it as quickly or as slow as you want to, if that is something that you're interested in to go deeper into this. And with that, you've got access to me for that full year because each one of the lessons, and I hate to call it lessons because lessons makes me think about school and I didn't do really good in school. So, but like each one of those sections, there's just a discussion place where whatever the lesson is, you can go into the discussions and talk about it, and I can come in and meet you there and we can chat. And then based on what we talk about, it may create a brand new module or just a whole nother video in that um, in this in this course. Um, and so it's just a really uh, fabulous experience of learning daily routines and how to set yourself up for long-term success. Kim's got something here. As someone who has known the should do yoga for the last 10 years, why can't I make myself do it? Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's beautiful, beautiful awareness that we know the things that we should do, but we don't. That could be because we're in an activated nervous system. We could be in freeze. We can't make those decisions. We're stuck. Um, Overwhelmed. So maybe we're fawning, we're overwhelmed. We have a lack of identity. We're doing too much for other people. And then therefore there's no time for ourselves and our self-care. And so then therefore then we can't we don't have the capacity to step into that practice because maybe we've overextended with our loved ones or um yeah. The other thing that I would invite us to think about with like the shoulds is don't should on yourself. Don't should on yourself. If you hear the word should in something of yourself, you're like, well, I should have unloaded that dishwasher already. I've been home all day. Who says you should? Who says you should? What little voice in there is telling you that you should be doing that? And I totally get it with the yoga. I know that yoga is good for me and I should be doing yoga. So I totally get why that should is there, but maybe something else needs to happen before you're able to step into a yoga practice or back into your yoga practice, I guess I should say in that. Um, and then the other thought that I would put out there is in stepping back into a yoga practice is take away the mindset that it needs to be a certain duration. Like we typically think a yoga practice is an hour session, because if you go to a yoga class, you're going to do it for an hour, maybe 90 minutes. But that's not what's needed for a home practice. For a home practice, if you're going to do yoga every day, 5, 10 minutes. You don't need an hour. Put on your favorite song, maybe two songs. If it's Billy Joel, one song. He's got long songs. And just do whatever feels right for your body in a movement practice for that song. And that way it doesn't seem like such an extreme, I don't have an hour capacity to give, but I can do this 7 minute song to the entertainer or piano man. I can move to that. I can do that for a few minutes. And then also take away the thought of what it should look like. I'm supposed to look this way in my pose. I want you to think to tune in to what your body needs and only worry about that. Is it that you're carrying it in the shoulders? So maybe you're just spending 2 or 3 minutes each day working that area. Are there any other questions that you'd like to drop into the chat here? I'm going to tell you, I'm loving my new computer. I got me a new computer about a month ago, and I don't know what it does, but like my camera moves with me and it zooms. And I just think this is cool. Sometimes it gets really close, but I don't know how to undo all of that. But that's okay. We just deal with that. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. So I'm going to do a couple of things here. Again, I'm new to doing this virtually. I've been working with my people in person for this 10 years. So I'm learning more into the technology side of things and shifting some stuff. And so one of the things that I'm going to be practicing with this particular um, workshop is sending out an email with the recording of this entire session so that you'll be able to go back and view it. But I believe it gives you a timed, and I will tell you whatever that timed is in the email. So I think it may be like a 24 or 48 hour that it would give you the access to. And so be looking for that email from the hello at Christy Mayu, and then you can uh, get on there and watch this again, because just like your body keeps the score in this book by Gabore, okay, these are big books. You don't retain everything in this one setting. So feel free to come back and you can watch this again. I'm going to host more of these. Um, my intentions is to do this like once a month. And as I'm beginning to step away from the massage table, I'm making some more room for this. So that's my intentions. And as I start traveling this fall, I will just be taking the computer with me and doing it wherever I'm at. So you may go live with me from Italy or Utah or Montana, Spain, who knows where you'll see me. So Kim says I saved your website and we'll come back to look at all the different products. Thank you so much, Kim. So what I've been doing with my online website here is, again, this decade that I've been working with people and hosting workshops and trainings, I've gathered all of my tools and I'm slowly getting them recorded and putting them on my website, the Lavender and Sage. And so some things are going to be free, free things for you to be able to utilize, some different tools to utilize. There's a couple of courses that's going to be out there. And then I'm going to have, and then I also have my coaching so that we can have one-on-one sessions if that's something that interests you and going a little deeper. And then I'm going to be offering some group coachings as well through the trauma, the nervous system, as well as lymphatic work, because it all is tied together. Because once we get stuck and trapped, we got these emotions trapped and our fascias trapped and tight, our lymphatic system can't move. And if our lymph can't flush, then that's also our immune system, which again leads to disease. And so it's all tied together. And it's taken me this 10 years of doing all these different courses to go like, it's all tied together.